guys, it's Kelly here, and I am back with another video for W+9. Today we're going to be creating a card set using the That Is All set, and then also the rounded rectangle die from the Sunshine Layers. So I just picked out some cardstocks that I really liked. I thought that would be pretty in the card set, and then I picked out some W+9 Pure Color die inks to match. And today I'm going to be using Silver Lining, Sweet Gelato, Bloomsbury, and Lake House. So I mounted my stamps, and basically what I wanted to do was choose a couple of different sentiments and then have there be a tone-on-tone background. So whichever the sentiment was I decided to go with, I took the largest word out of that and then used it to stamp the background. And there's like 3 little hearts that are included in the sentiment set. And I wanted to include those. Well, I thought it would be good to like break up the wording. And here, anytime you're creating your own background, you want to make sure you're stamping off the page. So it's always good to have a scrap piece of paper, and then also varying where you're stamping. So how I did that with the Amazing one is I just always lined up my Z with the heart. So that way it was never the same. It didn't look like a constantly the same thing. Do you know what I mean? It looked like a genuine pattern. So I stamped the whole thing, and this is, like I said, tone on tone. I really love the way these inks stamp. They soak right into the paper and even out beautifully. They're such great ones, and they come in such great colors. So after I was done stamping the Bloomsbury one, I moved on to the Lake House. And so here I accidentally touched it down a hair too soon. So I would have preferred to stamp that perfect down a little lower, but that's not how it worked out, and I'm just going to roll with it. So after I stamped those, and then I needed to stamp underneath it, I did pre-practice this one because the P comes down, the F comes down, the T goes up. And sometimes when the stamps are designed like that, although they're beautiful, it makes it very difficult to kind of fit them into each other. So with this one, I just pre-stamped it out on like a scrap piece of paper to make sure everything was going to fit. And then I'm using all 3 of the hearts here to break up this kind of stamping. And anytime you're going to be doing a lot of stamping, you know, you stamping your own pattern paper is, you know, you're stamping the same stuff quite a few times. I would recommend just, you know, figuring out what your pattern's going to be beforehand. It'll save you a lot of headaches, promise. This is the Silver Lining, and this is actually the paper I'm using here is the Coal Mine from W+9. The other cardstocks are just ones that I had in my stash, but this one you can get in the store. And for this one, how I lined this up, I didn't line it up above the heart like I did the last 2. I actually just made sure that G was like snugged into the H, because that H comes up and the G comes down. I wanted to make sure that they were going to fit nicely together. This creates more of a specific repeat pattern versus a random, but I'm totally okay with that. And then I'm just going to take it all the way up. So it appears that I cut it from a piece of cardstock. This one is by far and away my favorite. I love Sweet Gelato. It is probably my favorite W+9 color. There's just no other pink out there like it. And I remember watching Jennifer Maguire swatch her colors forever ago, and just looking at all the different pinks that she had and thinking to myself, I got to get that one. I have to get that Sweet Gelato color. And I'm still just in love with it, as much in love with it now as I was then. So this one I chose the Loved. It was a little easier to, you know, kind of fit it all together because the L and the D are parallel. They're level, not difficult to fit them into each other because nothing's hanging down. So again, just did the same thing I did before, so made sure I stamped it off the page. And then now I'm going to go ahead and for my sentiment, I decided I wanted them to sit on a piece of vellum. So I'm using that rounded inside rectangle from the Sunshine Layers, and I'm going to go ahead and cut 4 of these. And sorry, I'm going to bounce you all over the place here because my cuddle bug was just not cooperating with me. It was like not sticking to the desk surface. I don't know what its issue was. So I cut those out. Cut 4 of them out, and then I'm going to white heat emboss my sentiment. And this is the one that's going to go with the loved background. It says, "I just love you. That is all." And I just love that is all, because I talk like that. Like, I say things, like, "You're awesome." That's all. Um, so I'm going to be using some Versamark ink, and you saw me use my embossing buddy bag. So important when you're embossing, especially on vellum. It's so staticky. You'll just get unwanted powder all over everything. So make sure you use something, whether it's a powder tool or a dryer sheet, like something to get rid of the static. And I'm just going to use my white embossing powder, and I have my gun off to the side heating up as I was doing everything else, because the less time you have the heat on there, the less likely it's going to warp. And even when I'm doing it, like, I'm constantly moving it off the page so that it's not going to warp there. I just have a regular size A2 card, which is 4¼ by 5½, and then I just trimmed down my panels just a 1/4 of an inch so that I would have a little bit of white on each side to bring that white in from the heat embossing, so everything just kind of tied together. And I mounted all my cards exactly the same way. Like I said, it's a set, so they're all going to match each other. And then I'm using Tombow Mono multi-glue, and I'm only going to add dots of this just behind where it's embossed. That will be enough to adhere it to my card. I won't have to worry about it falling off, and you also will not be able to see it from the front. Vellum is wonderful, but that is the tricky thing. You got to find a way to put it down without being able to see it. So I did them all. The layout was the same for all of them. And once I got them all adhered down, I went ahead and figured out what my sequins were going to be. I knew I kind of wanted to fill in those spots with some clear sequins, and I did not record that because I can't even tell you how long it took me to like dope out where I wanted them to be. I'm not going to make you watch that painful process. So I pretty much laid them out all the same, because the sentiments were laid out almost all the same. And while I was recording this, I was talking to my husband, so don't mind my like random hand movement. I was multitasking. I was having conversation with the hubs while I was card making. So I glued down all of those sequins, and then to fill in the space just a little more, I'm going to use some Stardust stickles and just do little dots of it around the sequins and then up through to that right hand corner. And this is just going to fill in that space a little more, so it's more fluid. It draws the eye a little bit and fills in that space. It just felt like a little bare to me. And then that is pretty much, what I did for all the cards. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with this set. It's such a fantastic buy. So thanks again. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.